hidden beast that comes at night and strikes at livestock. What could be lurking in the woods around us? Come with us as we explore Unreal Encounters. The Chupacabra. Welcome back to Unreal Encounters, where we examine the mysterious and the unexplained, and discuss possible theories about what may be happening. I'm Paul, and I'm joined here by Lindsay and Josh again.
Hey.
And today we are talking about the Chupacabra. Have either of you heard about the Chupacabra at all?
Yeah, this one I actually have heard.
You have heard about
Hey.
it.
I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard of it.
What have you heard?
We
I'm
got
curious. Cause you...
Well, so here's the deal. Everyone hears the term Chupacabra. Me personally, when I was young, I would say Chupacabra.
Chalupa...
I didn't know this was wrong until I'm about 16 years old, and my friend goes, "Bro, what?"
It's a mystery
I'm like-
menu item from Taco Bell.
Chili
So
or something?
he's like, "Well, dude, we gotta look it up now." So we look at the Chupacabra, and it's a Chupacabra with a taco body. So that's what I know about the Chupacabra.
Great, this will be a good one. All right.
Yes.
We're already off the rails.
Yes. It's off to a good start.
The year is 1975 in a small town called Mocha in the country of Puerto Rico. Several farmers woke to find their animals had been killed in the night. As they examined the bodies, they found they had been drained of blood, with 3 small incisions on them. Other than those marks, the animals' bodies remained fully intact. So already we're starting off dead animals.
Huh. Drained of blood.
Drained of blood, apparently,
3.
and with like 3 small incisions on their body. Normally they described it as like little teeth marks
Yeah.
in like the neck area
Teeth
of
marks.
I think it's goats and like sheep mostly.
So it's like a 3-toothed vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, reverse snaking. Like, instead
Oh.
of putting poison in and pulling the blood out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well it's kind of vampire,
It's
like
very
you
vampire,
drain
yeah.
Very
blood.
vampire.
Yep. He just has 3 fangs instead of 2.
3 fingers.
3 fangs.
The farmers searched for a culprit for these killings, but were unable to find any answers. Many believe that a satanic cult was to blame for the killings. It was not until 1995 that this attacker was given a name. An eyewitness named Madeline Totino caught a view of the apparent monster that was sucking animals dry, before it ran off, leaving the dead animals behind. The creature was mostly hairless, with leathery gray skin, spines running down its back, crawling around on all 4s with odd-looking legs. The name Chupacabra translates to goat sucker. So, a bunch of animals are dying, and this woman who, if I remember right, is kind of youngish, sees this thing, like, killing her livestock,
Yeah.
and then it darts, like, runs off into the woods.
Oh.
And it's kind of that.
Yeah.
Once again, we're back to skinless, or not skinless, hairless. A lot of the cryptids are hairless for some reason, or really hairy if it's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're back to like a very hairless,
Spine.
spines down its back, and yeah,
It makes me
On all
think of
fours.
like a boar almost. Like that's what first comes to mind.
yeah, it's kind of boar, I guess.
Yeah. But that's more bristly.
It's
but like
more,
yeah.
and the mouth of it is more like dog-like, is what
Mhm.
they've said. Like it's very like a canine muzzle.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah.
like very like meaty back with just no hair and just
Ugh.
spines running down its
I'm
back.
gonna say could have been a boar that was misidentified.
Maybe it lost its
But-
tusks. And so it was...
Maybe. I
Sure.
don't know.
Do they have boars in Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, maybe.
Well, we're already
I
getting
think
into
so.
theories,
Yes.
apparently.
No, for me,
I want to know.
makes me think of, like, if I was to imagine a hellhound without any other description except for hellhound, that's kind of what it sounds like. Something
Yeah,
that would be
that's,
this...
accurate. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that she
Terrifying
said
dog.
leathery.
Leathery skin.
I
yeah.
thought that was cool. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Granted, that makes me think of those hairless cats that look terrible. But
Don't
Still
hate
leathery.
on the little
The Sphinx
wrinkles.
The wrinkly Sphinx cats?
Wrinkly Sphinx cats. They're just doing their
Hey,
best.
they're holy in
at least
Egypt,
they're less
so...
dangerous than...
the
This guy,
Chupacabra?
Hellhounds.
yeah.
Alright. The story hit the local news, and it was soon that the comedian Silverio Perez coined the term Chupacabra. After these deaths in Puerto Rico, there began to be reports from other surrounding countries in Central and South America. Animals were killed and seemingly drained of blood, leading many to believe that the Chupacabra was responsible.
Huh.
So it starts in Puerto Rico, and then
Yeah.
it spreads to just like Central and South America.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, we were talking with last video about the night crawlers and about, like, some people are just like, oh yeah, I totally saw it. And it kind of feels like a little bit of a bandwagon thing. Like,
There's a little bit of bandwagon.
I
sounds.
hope that people aren't jumping on the bandwagon of killing livestock and draining them of blood, because that's not cool.
So you're going back to the
I don't-
satanic cult
Yeah,
killing things, and
yeah.
it's just spreading. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
whoa, let's just murder animals.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, let's make some
people believe it.
chupacabra, like, encounters,
Mhm.
sort of thing. Ugh.
Yeah, makes me wonder if there was the same, like, 3 teeth markings on
Yeah.
each
What I
one.
could find is most of them had either like 2 or 3 like sort of teeth marks on
Yeah.
like the necks of the animals that were being killed. So
Huh.
like it is a consistent thing that keeps coming up.
And were they
Interesting.
3 lined up, like kind of like a vampire bite but triple, or was it like,
I'm not
kind of
sure.
this thing
that
sort
I
of
don't
deal?
know that sort of. Don't know
That's
those.
okay.
All right.
don't have that deep of research.
That's
I
true.
want the
Plus,
details,
plus
Paul.
I couldn't find like pictures of
Yeah.
animals. Not that I wanted to look at pictures of animals from
Yeah.
killed by the chupacabra.
Because that's sad.
Because
That
it's
is-
sad and kind of really gross.
Yeah.
The Chupacabra seems to have been active as recently as 2018 or 2019. In Manipur, India, many farm animals were attacked by something in a similar fashion to the Chupacabra. Slaughtered farm animals left bleeding on the ground. Many purported this to be the work of the mythical Chupacabra. So now India is having Chupacabra problems.
He's globetrotting.
Yeah, well, I guess it took from, like, what was the first? Hold on, go. 1975 was the first one, so from 1975, it made it all the way to India by 2018.
It just
So
took
these
that-
are recent, though. This is like 4 years ago.
Yeah, took that long
Yeah.
to swim over to India.
To swim.
Yep.
Some theories that I looked at of how it got there, some people think it portal jumped, or that chupacabras are ability to teleport, or other people have hypothesized it is a similar species of chupacabra in
Oh.
India
Interesting.
that came up recently, apparently.
Interesting. Troubling.
I said it was getting dark quick. Now we know it's actually recent.
Now it's recent.
Yeah.
It might be happening recently.
In your neighborhood.
In 2019, the most recent encounter with the chupacabra was reported right where it all began, in Puerto Rico. Mundo Ovini posted a video online of his farm that had been ravaged by something, leaving many of his chickens dead. Many point to this as continuing proof that the chupacabra is still active to this day. This is probably the most, like, we
Meep.
going back to the Dover Demon, we're like, man, this thing leaves everybody alone.
Yeah.
The chupacabra does not leave well enough
No.
alone. It goes after things
Yeah.
and just
Chupacabra
destroys stuff.
takes care of business.
Which I guess it's like, whether or not it's the chupacabra, something is killing all of these animals.
There will be no survivors.
Like, there is something killing them, so it's like, there's something there.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the Dover Demon, it's like, well, it could have been any number of things, so just, like, people's imagination, because
Yeah.
nothing happened. But, like, this one's like, things are dying, animals are getting killed. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting because the whole thing about it being, here and then in India, I say here, but in India later, it's intriguing that those are the only reports of it so far apart. But at the same time, you also have to look at the fact that there could be plenty of people that could have had this happen to their livestock, and they would just say, oh yeah, it was just wolves. It was just
Yeah.
coyotes. It was just whatever.
I mean, that was like a common adage in like France, is like people just would get attacked by wolves, and like it was just part of having sheep. It was just like, well, you have wolves, kill the sheep or kill the herder, and you're just like, wolves.
Wolves.
So I feel like you almost have to be, I guess, conspiracy theory type person to understand, oh, I know these markings. I saw this,
Yeah.
Oh.
to know, oh, this is what it looks like, opposed to someone just saying,
Well, I think a lot of it
They
comes
died.
from like them looking at the animals and going like, these have been drained of blood, like these like bled everywhere.
Oh my gosh, I got
And
the
you're like, it's
Chupacabra's
got to be
autograph.
something more than just like a wolf or something that killed.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a calling card.
Now that we have looked at the sightings, it's time to look at some of the theories of what the Chupacabra might be, of which there are really only 2. Our first theory is that the Chupacabra is some animal we know. Many point to the abundance of coyotes and or hairless stray dogs to explain the attacks. This seems like a likely outcome since we cannot confirm what the Chupacabra looked like. Therefore, it could be anything killing these animals. That, however, doesn't explain certain sightings of the monster or the animals being drained of blood.
Well, like I said, it could have been a boar, maybe. I don't know if they're native to that area, but they can get huge, and they lust for blood.
Yeah. I guess would they leave, like, bite marks?
I don't know. I mean, tusk marks, maybe. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, for me, the main thing is just the fact that they're missing blood. Outside
Yeah,
of that, it's like
yeah.
totally feasible, totally possible. You know, this lady could have just seen something and thought it, whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows? But the draining of blood as a consistent thing that repeats, that's not coincidence. That's not common.
Yeah.
That's hard
It's
to figure
unusual.
out.
That's,
Yeah.
weird.
Well, and like the one lady who saw it, it's like maybe she did see, like, you could say, oh, maybe she saw like a wild dog, and then wanted to like build it up instead of being like, oh, it's just a wild dog that killed our things. Be like, oh, it's a big monster. I couldn't stop it. What are you talking
The
about?
story builds each telling.
Yeah, kind of like, add a few
It had
details.
spines on its back. It was insane.
Huge.
Then it hits Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once everybody knows what the agreed upon, like, look is, eyewitness account starts to line up, because it's like, oh, well, it's a like hairless dog with spines on the back. It's like, yeah, duh.
Totally.
Kind of like we go back to like the Loch Ness Monster. It's like the Loch Ness Monster was not a plesiosaur until the surgeon's photograph was taken.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly was all a plesiosaur. That's all people saw, and it was like, hold on, what?
Always and only.
It's only ever been that.
But it still could be a worm.
You're really sticking to that worm, aren't you?
Yes.
Alright, let's continue.
These two sticking points seem to be explained as well. When analyzed by veterinarians, the animals that had been killed were found to not have been bled dry, meaning that people were merely making assumptions. Biologists have also suggested that sightings of the monster could have been coyotes with a parasite that caused their hair to fall out, and weaken them, explaining why they go after farm animals.
This goes back to the mange thing. I think I talked about this in the Dover demon video. Like, it could have been a bear with mange, that it just all its hair fell out.
What was the idea of, like, coyotes or some other, like, maybe, so that they also suggested hairless dogs, because there's a lot of hairless dogs in South America.
With really hard to pronounce names.
And if they're diseased and, like, rabid or something else, it might lead them to being, like, really terrifying and crazy. It's like, that could be the Chupacabra.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah, and I like that this is something he brings up, is he doesn't just ignore the fact that they're drained of blood. He says, well, maybe they hit a vital organ or something, and it's repeatedly where this creature or whatever did it. It just kept hitting that organ, or an artery, and it just bled out.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, part of that theory also is, like, dogs, when they kill something, you go after, like, the neck, because that's the most sensitive part of the animal.
Go for the
and so it's like, that's where all the blood is going to come out of, because that's where it all goes.
Our second theory is that the Chupacabra is its own species or multiple species. Some point to eyewitness accounts and claim that it could not be a dog causing these events, due to the eyewitness's description of the monster. Many also point to the fact that it did not try and eat its victims, proves the Chupacabra to be in fact real.
What do you think of it being its own, I guess, species or multiple species, if there's a different, like, strain of it in India? That there is a creature that does sort of drain blood from creatures, and that's how it lives.
Vampire hellhound dog.
Yeah, vampire hellhound dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's about what it adds up to.
Could be. I mean, it goes back, it could still be just like wild dogs. And this is one, I didn't put it in here, but looking at some of the theories and stuff, a lot of the medical people also point to, if you did have like a parasited coyote or something, it may kill things and then leave it.
True.
Because it's just like not in its right mind, because the parasite has just like scrambled its brains.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's possible that it could also still be the very physical, like, dog or coyote that just is leaving it because...
Yeah, just going on a killing spree, but
just,
not,
It's wild and, like, rabid and crazy, and it's not eating anymore, and then it goes off and dies somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
also, that
those are a little
kind of puts my mind at ease.
That there isn't a terrifying spined dog.
Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, there are only a couple sightings in North America, most of which have been proven to be just hairless dogs.
Cool.
Because there was some video, and I was like, oh, I got it, and then I looked at it, and I was like, oh, that is so clearly a dog. It's like, it's not even close.
Even if there is not a goat-sucking monster out there in the world, the Chupacabra has fascinated and terrified people. It has made its mark on the entertainment industry, with many movies being made about it. This monster has left a lasting impact on small communities and the wider world at large, and perhaps one day we will get evidence to know if the Chupacabra is truly out there.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe, and check out Unreal Studios for more content that you may like. Our community is growing every day, and we'd like you to be a part of it. And with that, stay curious.